Hello again. Yes? Okay. So I'm going to introduce the panel, but I think it's more comfortable if the three speakers are somehow sit down and I present the three of them now and then they come one by one. Okay, first of them is Maurits Butter. He's from TNO, which is a research and technological organization from the Netherlands, our competence center, as I was saying before. He's an expert in digital innovation hubs, as most of you will know. And then he's working on digital innovation hubs internationally. Afterwards, we will have Ulrich. Sorry, you would say much better than me. Tom Bansen, okay, he's from Fraunhofer ILT, which is laser technology from Germany. He's also project coordinator of a project which I have seen the stand over there, which is called, I would say it in Spanish, amable. It sounds perfect, which is corresponding to additively manufacturable. But amable sounds very good. And then finally, we have Graciela Garrido from Funding Box. Funding Box is also partner of the DIH from Valencia, and they are experts in accelerators and community building. Okay, these three experts and speakers, I mean, they will be somehow giving us some hints on services given by digital innovation hubs from different perspectives, which are very complementary. So thank you, and I give the floor to Maurits, which is the first one. Okay.
Hello, yeah. I'm here, yeah. So this is the nice black box. So before I start, can I ask you who is actually involved in the Digital Innovation Hub? Could you raise your hands? So an actual innovation hub. Okay, look, that's quite good. That's quite good. So I'm going to tell you something about Digital Innovation Hub and their services, and from a more contextual view. Because I do think that if you look at Digital Innovation Hubs, there's a rich story behind it, how to set them up and how to make them more effective and efficient. So if you look at the innovation hubs, where did it come from? Well, it started in 2016 by the European Commission with, I must say, with telling the audience that there's 500 million available for digital innovation hubs, because it's all about money. And also within digital innovation hubs, it's all about money. So Andrea just told us there's another stick, and that's the Digital Europe, which is coming. That's also money. So you'll be interested to hear a little bit about what's going on there, and you might call Andrea again to get some money. I don't know if that's going to happen, but, well, let's see. When I started working on digital innovation hubs, it was already more or less 2012. And the first idea was a competence center. And what we found out is that if you only focus on a competence center, providing technological infrastructure, that's too limited. And you needed to have a different animal also connected to it to create a kind of a business orientation. And there we started in 2015, together with the Commission, trying to identify what is a digital innovation hub. It's connected to competence centers, of course, but it's slightly different. And what we found out is that if you look at a competence center, usually they are very much focused on providing technological infrastructure and the accompanying expertise. but what you need to create business is also the business perspective and the ecosystem perspective, as Andrea also told. So that was the beginning of thinking about digital innovation hubs. And then thinking about it, we came up with this list of actual services, because we did a lot of work to define a digital innovation hub, but we just didn't succeed. And the idea of defining it by services emerged, and I think that's a very good idea, because it's very pragmatic, very operational. You can look at it and you can be inspired to create a kind of a portfolio of services to serve your SMEs, to connect technology towards implementation. But there is a connection between those services, and that's very important. What I'm not now going to show you is the business model the MTC, the Manufacturing Technology Center in UK, is offering. They start with the core, that's strategic RDI, but they connect it to contract research, connect it also to business support and to ecosystem support. And why? Because they want governmental money, and they want money from industry. And governmental money, sure, that's about creating new technologies. And those new technologies are important to convince the government to invest. But they are also investing, governments, when they see actual application. And that's a very important element to the whole discussion. And of course, industry is also connected to these digital innovation hubs through those successful implementations. And here you can see the full scope of all different kind of services connected to each other. And it's last but not least is also the awareness, brokerage and networking layer, because that creates the funnel of projects to keep being sustainable for the longer term. So that's a very important aspect. And talking about services, I think it's important to get also talk about the financing, getting the money. And this is just a simple slide telling you, if you look at the three most important customers of digital innovation hubs, large companies, SMEs, startups, that with regard to those services provided, it's not easy to get money for all those services. Some of the services are happily supported by large enterprises. For example, contract research, that's fine, they want to pay for that. But startup companies have a different budget. They have a different amount of money available to pay for these services. And I think for each digital innovation hub, you need to keep this in mind, that different customers have different opportunities to pay and also different needs. So now we have been talking about the digital innovation hubs. And what we now see, and that's highly immersed, further developed by the work I've been doing for the Basque country, we see a kind of a further approach, a further development of the idea of digital innovation hubs in regional digital innovation hub networks. So a digital innovation hub is a more domain-oriented ecosystem where they work together and trying to service specific sectors. But an ecosystem is, a regional ecosystem is a different animal. They combine those different digital innovation hubs, even competence centers, into a network, a regional ecosystem that creates a cooperation between the digital innovation hubs. So if you look at the services again for digital innovation hubs, you could say that with the regional digital innovation hub approach, that you need to distinguish between the digital innovation hubs which excluded some of the services and shifted up to the regional level. And it's this discussion which is crucial for the further economy of scale of creating a regional approach towards digital innovation hubs. And of course the pan-European networking. Because pan-European networking, pan-European collaboration is not easy for a digital innovation hub or a competence center, but it needs to be addressed on a regional level. That's a crucial element to the whole strategy we will be further developing for a European digital innovation hub networks. So, just some quick conclusions. If you focus on, as a digital innovation hub, on the technology alone, you'll be successful for a few years. But afterwards, the successful implementation in small and medium enterprises, that's convincing regions to keep investing in your organization. And that's a crucial element. So you need to have a multi-business model approach. You need to address all those services. And I'm afraid that's a lot of patchworking of finance. Because a small and medium enterprise will invest some elements, larger enterprise will finance other elements of your service portfolio, but you also need to have funding from the regions, perhaps from Europe, from national entities, and combining that is it's a horrible thing, but it's needed, it's necessary. And please think about creating a regional entity to connect to digital innovation hubs in the region, because that's an important mechanism to create economy of scale and to better having more impact of digitization in your region. So thank you.
Okay, thanks again, Moritz, for handing over to me. A couple of minutes ago, I had a presentation on Amable, but I changed it completely now just for you. So let's start off with that. I do not want to click my first slide off without saying I think it's not only running for money. If we're only running for money, then we perhaps should think about doing a different job. For me, it's more on the technology side. For me, it's on helping SMEs to get their business done. And that's not just about money. It's also not just about business, because those things need to go together. The technology together with the business. So you can't bring technology into the market without having a business plan in your back, or you will fail. And it's not enough to just have a business plan without having a solution for it. So those two things go together, and that's what I see in digital innovation hubs, to bring these things together. So again, this one here, Aachen Cathedral. In Amable, we're clearly communicating to the SMEs, do not print for your desktop. You need to have something useful. You need to have something where you can sell. You will never match any technology for such a piece with additive manufacturing because it's just too expensive. And you won't make a new point in that market. Dental implants are at a level being produced at a level of 99.5% are coming from metal printers. So you won't make a business case in doing that in additive. You might do a business case in this one. Sorry, I'm a bit losing the focus of you. So you might perhaps do a business case of this one. This is a guide vane for a turbine. This went to serial production. So it's nothing fancy, it's nothing technological kind of pilot thing. It's really in production, serious production. But it's a very small market segment. And that's what the SMEs are for. They need to find their market segment. To have like test printing to prove that a technology is valid for creating a one-off for a motor brings you in a technology development cycle that is much faster than a classical cycle. So SMEs might find prototyping at a very high pre-series level at another price tag for sure, but it will be still competitive compared to conventional prototyping today. So that's one of the market segments. And it's about identifying those market segments or those solutions. I also talked about the GE nozzle. This is a part that was produced from 16 single parts, all conventionally produced and then mounted. You might imagine what can happen producing 16 simple parts, putting them together and trying to bring them to function. So this is one part now. So GE has decided to buy in a number of machines in order to set up that production facility. Nothing for SMEs, but is about either finding your edge in doing prototyping or finding your edge in functional integration to provide new value. To understand what's possible with AM, you can create structures, you can create geometries that have completely different behavior than anything that's available today, and even can't simulate it. So the SMEs also need to understand what's happening if I create this, how is the behavior of this one? The hollow bowls, this is hollow bowls printed on top of each other, the powder completely removed. This completely behaves differently. So to understand what you can do with AM is one of the tasks of innovation hubs. You see market developments with different machines, different applications, a new one coming more or less on a daily basis. So the market gets much more wider, much more variety. To understand that, digital innovation hubs. To keep an overview about services are being offered so that the SMEs can use. You can go to a digital innovation hub and ask for a service, but at a certain time, the market will take up those services, and then you will have to find some new services. So you have to innovate the digital innovation hubs themselves. You can't just do the one thing over the next few years. So this kind of variability is what I think is needed. We started off to create Amable from exactly this perspective, so to try to provide a solution, to try to provide help for SMEs. We created these business platforms in order to be able to provide or to serve requests like funding, like access to finance, like maturing business models. We created the technology platform in order to answer technology questions. Can I produce this part with a specific material? And we created the skills and education platform in order to be able to offer to SMEs some kind of modularity, what they need as a skilling up. And on top of that, and this is just, let's say, the current status, we have a set of services, and this will change over time. I'm 100% sure that the life cycle of those services, for some of them, will end after the first call, but we will have new ones. So the innovation within an innovation hub is, I think, one of the key elements to drive this scheme forward. How do we run experiments? For us, an experiment is not worth an experiment if we don't have all the key players in it. So that's the suppliers, those SMEs that want to provide such solutions, and the users, those really defining what is the need, what's necessary. And that is the team that we set up together with a tutor that brings this experimentation team from one service to the next, that takes care of crossing the results to the next stage. If you just run one entity through a digital innovation hub, I more or less guarantee you will be difficult to reach the final objective. This makes it much more dynamic. And the way we entered that is to have a real entry stage. So we have formulated 4 stages to review the application. You know, this is all like you send in a proposal, so your idea, but that's not how you should run the entire process. So this needs to be reassessed, that needs to be written up again in order to orient it towards the objectives. After the entry stage, the execution, we have an evaluation stage, so to try to evaluate if the achievements that were anticipated have really been achieved. And then the last one, that is, from my understanding, the most important one, that's also driving this cycle. It is how you continue after the experiment. If you don't have that on your roadmap in the first place, you might end up at the wrong position. So, experiments from idea to product. This experiment, we need to validate the solution. We need to ensure capital investment, no matter where it comes from. And that's, again, please, not running for money. But a service that we can provide from a digital innovation hub is to really document the achievement of an objective. And if you have that, then you can go for money. But then that's real money, then that's venture money. And you can base your business on that one, because you have a solid ground to start a new part within your business. And the last one, market entry, that's, from my understanding, off the scope of digital innovation hubs. Perhaps that might move in at some time, but we are not the marketing guys. We can assist in trying to estimate the potential market value of such a solution, but we're not the marketing guys, at least not from my perspective. So this is the set of technology providers, and on the bottom we have data management. That's a topic I didn't explain today because time is limited. So we're also doing some stuff on the data chain, and we have, according to the business tasks, Keen Bull and Pricewaterhouse Strategy End as business consultants, Zabala as an innovation entity, and EWF to really bring together all the training requirements. Because if you just do some sort of training, and if it's not certified training, then you might also end up in a deadlock. It's not enough just to read some books, but you really have to make sure that your people are capable of producing additively manufactured parts to the level that's requirement, to not bring you into prison 2 weeks after you sold your product. Don't underestimate that. I think we're getting the biggest problem ever if a part should fall out of the air that has been additively manufactured. Then we're in really big trouble. So don't take skills and training easy. Now, something I really want to stress. We're doing these competitive calls. And what we currently see is that we, as those pretty well connected to public funding, understand very easily what's necessary. So write up what you think you should produce. Create a business plan and write it up. Explain us how you want to achieve your objectives. But that does not seem to be that easy for SMEs. And to not distort the competition, we are not allowed to assist them in doing that, because they need to come in without us having helped them to gain funding. So this brings us into the problem that the way we're trying to help SMEs, I think, is really complicated. If I have a small SME from around the corner that just wants to get engaged with additive manufacturing, they have to look after their business. At the end of the day, their main interest is if their employees are able to buy bread at the bakery. So I don't know how to solve that, but I know that this is a problem. Not the opportunity page, but this page. Write up your story, present your first adopting user. What is your idea? What is your aim, starting point? How does the idea relate to the state of the art? Hey guys, that takes the SME a week. Perhaps he even doesn't know what the state of the art is. So again, as I said, I don't have an idea how to solve that, but I see that as a barrier, as an entry barrier to getting engaged with such services. So what we can deliver is, we can deliver knowledge. We as the RTOs have knowledge. We can deliver technology. There's plenty of technology there which is not yet taken up. We can deliver finance, with access to finance, with all that kind of activities. And we can deliver resources with printing material or with simulation software, so with all the assistance that we can give. What is a bit more difficult is we can't bring in machines or materials, but with some finance and with some knowledge you can buy them. solved. What you can't do is create enthusiasm. But I think everyone who has contact to AM is enthusiastic if he has understood what you can do with it. Now, the final slide for today. That is the problem. Create ideas. What do you want to use AM for? It's not printing spoons, it's not printing Aachen Cathedral. It's functional integration, it's innovative design, it's complex products that work as expected. And skills. There are not enough people out there. We need certified people that have the skills in order to do the job. And if we don't have them really perfectly skilled, then parts might fall out of the air. And that's the worst scenario I can think of. Thanks.
Hello? Okay. I am going to talk about the ecosystem, the third block of the services of the Digital Innovation Hub. This is one part that was mentioned during the whole workshop, the ecosystem, the connection between different digital innovation hubs from different regions. So I am going to show you what is the experience and the perspective of one of the digital innovation hubs that we are taking part, that is Hub for Manual, is the digital innovation hub for the Valencian region. So for understanding what are the main interpretation that we have for this ecosystem, it's important to present ourselves are growing catalysis of the creation of the communities and creation of connections between different stakeholders and different entities at some point. And also our knowledge and our task about supporting digital innovation hubs, especially in the part of ecosystems. But I am not going to develop some more time talking to us. I am going to present the hub, what is the partners in the hub, and what is the kind of activities that we are implementing related to ecosystem, and how we are connecting our hub with another hubs at European level, and mainly with the European initiatives where we are participating. So our hub, the Hub for Manual in Valencia, is led by the competence center that is the Polytechnic of Valencia. We have also involved the government, the regional government in the hub, what is the IBACE, the government of Valencia. We also have in the consortium a platform for the manufacturing sectors in Valencia and us. And we have financed our, the business plan, our feasibility study by I4MS, the initiative, through the project called HORSE, that financed the preparations of the first step of the Digital Innovation Hub. These are all use cases that we have. We are focused in the manufacturing sector, but in different strategic sectors. So, for instance, we have Dulce Sol in the food sector. We have the textile and also the furniture, that are the main sectors in Valencia region, and a lot of supporting entities. This is our vision to boost competitiveness of the Valencian region, and to be the reference point for the companies that need to assimilate robotics and physical system and Internet of Things technologies in their value chains and in their products. This is the service that we are providing. This is the service that TNO and Andrea also mentioned before, but we will be focused in the ecosystem and how we are developing this. we are now initiating activities in the hub. So we are doing the ecosystem activities at different levels. First of all, at regional level, we are participating in regional working groups. In fact, the competence center, the Polytechnic of Valencia, is the one that is participating in this kind of regional working groups. They are mostly at technological level to identify and to connect with the ecosystem in Valencia through the IBACE and through the AVI, that is the innovation agency in Valencia. We are also implementing for the ecosystem dissemination activities, mainly related to the technological aspects of the hub, to disseminate how they should use this kind of technologies. And the same at national, international level. So we are also participating in the European and international working groups about the digital innovation hubs. So we establish connection between the hubs at national level, but also at the European level. I will come back to European in a moment, and collaboration with other digital innovation hubs they are participating. So we are convinced that we need to collaborate with other digital innovation hubs. And in fact, the ecosystem services and the ecosystem activities are the first that we established in the hub. We have the technological part, but this was the first activity, to establish connection with different actors and different digital innovation hubs in Europe. And this is because we, and I suppose that all the hubs presented here, we have some common challenges. First of all, the sustainability, how to get the funding. I think the funding is one of the words that all of us saying all the time, because there are some activities that we need to support, and they are not paying, as Maurits said, the companies and the target groups are not paying for that. Also, the coordination between the activities and the relation with the companies, mainly this kind of one-stop shop approach with the companies to access to finance on best practice. So this is the challenge that we are facing, and this is what we face, these challenges. What we are proposing and we are doing between the hubs in Valencia is to use our company and the projects that we are participating as a way to connect with all this kind of European initiatives and this kind of ecosystem. So our solution is create this kind of communities through the open calls, marketplace, spacing, and growth hacking strategies at European level. And this is some examples of this kind of initiatives where we are participating, and through us we are connecting the hub for Manual to the ecosystems. So for instance, this is one of the projects where we connected hub for Manual. This is Tetramas, that is one of the projects financed by the Smart Anything Everywhere initiative. So we place the Digital Innovation Hub in this competence center network. So we have shown in the map at European level all the competence at technological level for our hubs, but also we can, located our competence in the map for to be available for other regions and other companies to identify us as supportive for that. We also include Hub for Manual in the I4MS initiative that Maite mentioned at the beginning of this afternoon. So, for instance, we are participating actively in the community, in the cross-border space for collaboration between the Digital Innovation Hub. We also provide, you can see here, Paco, that is the coordination for the Polytechnic of Valencia, one of the best practice and interviews to spread the word about our activities and what we are doing in the hub to establish some connection with other hubs. We also have connected the Digital Innovation Hub with another project in the I4MS initiative that is called L4MS. Hafor Manual, you can see here, that is one of the satellite nodes of the project. So they are connecting us this way with other digital innovation hubs and other competence centers at European level. So we are participating in the meetings of the project, and we are spreading this kind of collaborations between all of us. And finally, I want to show you 2 new projects, but I think that Begoña is mentioning before. So we have signed this kind of MOU in this project about the Digital Innovation Hubs network. Hafor Manual is one of the 10 that are participating and supporting the partnerships from the beginning. So we will be there, and we will collaborate with another digital innovation hubs within this project, but also with this other project that is about digital innovation hubs in the field of robotics. So we are trying, to connect as much as possible the digital innovation hub, the competence center at national and international level. We are using our project as a main way to connect this kind of ecosystem, because we are a connector, we are creating ecosystems and so on. So we are trying to do that. And I think that is a starting point to find this kind of European collaboration and the network of digital innovation hub and entities that this is one of the objectives of the European Union. So this is what I want to present to you. Thank you.